talking today, and I kind of reflected back about the types of days we had. 6 days we attempted riding, 4 good days we rode, and the last 2 days, days 5 and 6, we attempted. The way I characterized them was day 1 was dirt. And right after we left you, Chuck, you started us off, you videotaped us as we went down the road, entering onto the Trans-America Trail, and about a half mile up the road, it narrowed down to a 2-tracker or a dirt road, pretty much a 2-tracker, narrowed, and then we got into the hills and the mountains of Tennessee. Day 2, the second day, I characterized it as pavement and Amish. We went past Amish farm after Amish farm, and we had a couple of good water crossings that very first day. Greg took an excellent shot of me that I think I'm going to frame and have for the rest of my life hanging up on the wall, going through the water.
That was in the Catoosa game area. Yeah. That was all 2-track roads.
And it was game hunting season?
Yeah, big game.
And we were warned not to enter, but there we go.
I think one of the things that surprised me was the fact that we started out, and even on the way up there, we were talking about what we could average miles per hour. We thought 35 miles per hour. Or at least I was thinking 30 to 35 would be conservative. After the first day, we realized we were not able to average more than 20 miles an hour. And that this was not a joyride where we could venture off to Oak Ridge or up and down the Natchez Trace like we thought we would. But rather, we throw our leg over the bike and we ride from the moment we get up in the morning until dark.
Hardly had time to take a picture, really.
The first day we took a lot of pictures. We hit a horse farm, we stopped at a bridge, at a state park, and took a number of pictures. But we learned real quickly we couldn't dally too much on the first day.
If we wanted to sleep in a bed.
That's right. So the second day, once again, was characterized by pavement, a whole lot of pavement. Different from the first day, we could travel much faster in the Amish. But how did we start that morning? This is the morning. Yeah, and what did we write on your?
TAT. Wrote it in the frost on my seat.
Oh, that was one of the nights my motorcycle spent the night in the room, though.
Yeah, that's right.
I didn't have to worry about frost on my seat.
Now, day 3, I characterized as water. Water, water everywhere. And this is when I went down. And I'll be the first to mention it. And it's sad because I was forewarned back in Daytona Beach by guys that had gone through before, who said, be careful of the slippery granite, slippery water crossings.
Yep, nice little riffles in it. It was a pretty little spot, but it sure was slick on the bottom.
And I think, now was that the one where we got a video of you crossing over, right?
Yep, yep.
And not without getting your feet wet.
Yep, I kind of wandered off course and got into the deep water.
And Bob went through without a hitch on his.
That time.
Characterized as gravel.
Okay.
And we talked quite a bit about the Obama stimulus package and figured the state of Mississippi poured all their stimulus package into gravel and went strictly to the Trans-America Trail.
The week before we got there.
Or the day before, or the day out.
Yeah, even the day we were there.
Saw some trucks going out and put a good 4 inches of gravel. Some of the rocks were 1 inch in diameter and just thick, and if we could stay in the tracks of the trucks, it was one thing. If we strayed into the berm, we were just skating. We were plowing the gravel. And I remember we were also learning that we had to keep up the pace, that we were falling behind the pace a little bit quite frequently. And then we had one guy that kept trying to lay down on the job. We found him twice laying down on the job. Would you like to talk about those?
I've learned to use the back brake on off-road motorcycling. Totally different than my experience with ninja riding on road. And my back brake didn't work very well. And it got me in trouble on a downhill right-hand sharp hairpin turn. And I bought the farm. And I bought some rock. And I bought a big fat foot. But this too shall pass, and it'll be good memories. Good experiences, and learned a lot about off-road motorcycling.
It's interesting to know how many people that we encountered along the way, including today, our 6th day out. A guy stopped by and talked about how the Trans-American Trail goes right in front of his house and is a spot of numerous accidents where people go down on the gravel roads. But it's well known, but it is far more well known now than before we started because of our advocate, Chuck, who went out and introduced everybody in the hotels and visitor centers to the Trans-American. But we cannot overemphasize the toughness of the trip.
It is nice.
Thank you.
Next day, when we got to the end of Mississippi, you said that day 4 in Mississippi was water, but no, that was in Tennessee. It was water, but that 5th day in Mississippi, there was a lot of water happening that day. We had 36 hours of rain, so we ended up spending the day holed up in the casino.
And we suffered that day.
I characterized day 5 as rain. Day 6 I characterized as mud.
Mud.
We are still in eastern Arkansas. Still pretty sloppy. Mike gets up on the high ground. He'll be so slippery, he'll be slipping and sliding all over. After 36 hours of rain, these roads are basically impassable by motorcycle. They're as slippery as owl snot.
Because all of our knobbies were
Totally
caked
encrusted.
with mud.
Looked
We
like
had
slicks. Yeah. The tires, you couldn't tell it wasn't a slick racing tire. Had no traction at all. But it was definitely an experience and part of the adventure, and after the fact I wouldn't give it up for anything. We all got through, and I think grew closer as a result of it.
Definitely.